Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium spirit navigator. Today we're going to be talking politics. I have one of my favorite astrologers on the screen with me, and she's a crowd favorite, Karen with Little Blue Lotus Astrology. And listen, before you think about anything else, I want you to understand that we talk about astrology in a way that I can understand it, which means you'll be able to understand it, which means that it's in plain English. And I'm over here reading the energy, and more often than not, the energy matches the astrology, right? So why not hang out with us for a little bit and hear what Karen has to say? Because she just told me that she got a psychic hit, because she's also psychic, that this is the last State of the Union address that the imposter president will ever give. So you're going to want to hear what she has to say about 45, whatever you want to call him, and Newsome and Vance and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us, Karen. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Susan. Thanks for having me on. I always love being on your show. Your
Aw,
subscribers are great people. I love them.
they are great people. Thank you so much. And hey, if you guys are interested, let me just say this before we get deep into it. Karen does readings. And I want to say something because I don't think I've ever explained this before, but Karen and I have this deal where we trade readings with each other, right? Professional, whatever. But she does this reading for me where she reads my transits, and the planets are moving, y'all. So she's going to talk about that today, right? Because we're going to talk about where the planets are today and how they're affecting these people that affect us. But these planets are also affecting you. So think about getting a transit reading, because what she does for me is she's like, all right, Susan, get your calendar out. This is what's going on for you in July, in August, in September, in October. And I basically plan my year with her transit readings. And I'm telling you, I go to my calendar, I'm like, oh, yep, she did tell me that. I forgot about it. Here it is on the calendar, and y'all, I'm living it. So it's really helpful. If you want to, like, how do I get through this? Like, I need some extra help. It's a really good idea to get a transit reading. And I truly 100% stand behind Karen. She's an amazing astrologer. Okay, so before we get started, I've told you about that. You can see her information down in the description of this video. So let's talk about with about the big guy. Let's talk about
Okay.
the imposter
Okay.
president.
The imposter president. So,
So your hit came when you were in the kitchen.
yeah,
This is how it
you
happens.
can't never, once in the shower, usually I'm cleaning because I'm zoned out. And I was thinking about him at his last State of the Union and thinking about how much I dislike this man, everything about him, feeling very unspiritual.
Human.
And I'm cleaning the stove, and all of a sudden I hear this, that's the last State of the Union he's ever going to make. I, I dropped my sponge. I'm like, what? That's all they would tell me. They repeated that. The last State of the Union he's ever going to make. No explanation, no clues, just stop worrying about it. He's over. He's over. Basically, he's over. Now I know that a lot of us across YouTube land, people were saying, very credible people were saying that he was never going to finish this term. So, but I've been on your show, other astrologers, other psychics, we thought he was going to have something major happen to him. It's this time and then another time, and it's like he's like got part cockroach. He just doesn't react
I
to
think
the
he's
point.
all
All
cockroach.
cockroach.
All cockroach.
Well, all right. I won't argue with that. Um, but it's like, okay, if he's not going to make another State of the Union, then something happens between now and, wintertime. So I looked at his chart. I looked at the eclipse in September, and it's hitting him in some really vulnerable, powerful places. So I'm thinking, all right, and you kept feeling September was a big month for him and the country, a big shift of some kind. So I'm thinking, health-wise and or information comes out about him that shows that he's illegitimate. where it's like a 1-2 punch or it's like a 1 2 3 4 5 punch, but he's down for the count in September. And so my next, freak out is like, well, Vance is, as you've mentioned, he's, oh man, he's evil, he's smarter, he's slicker, he's got backing. Do we want him in charge? So I looked up Vance's chart and I cannot see anything putting him in the most powerful place in the world. I just don't think he has the karma to do that. I don't see it in his chart. I don't know what happens.
I
I
know.
don't know how it happens. Uh, but I'm not worried about Vance being in charge or being able to do much damage because he just won't be there for very long.
Which
So,
is something that I've seen too. I feel like Vance has a little bit of that cockroach energy that you shouldn't underestimate the
yes,
imposter, because
yes.
how many times has he just wiggled and slimed and sleazed his way through? And I
Mhm,
feel like what I feel like happened is that Vance had a meeting with these oligarchs, whoever, and they
mhm,
came up with a deal. But here's the problem. They came up with a deal like we don't have a say, right? And we just all
mhm,
know we just finished up record protests for No King's Day, right? So this I feel like I feel like yes, he made a deal, and I feel like they think he's going to serve out the rest of that
mhm,
presidency. But
mhm.
if you don't see it in his chart, like there's no wind, like the guides just said, there's no wind beneath his sails.
Okay.
If you're out at the ocean and you got a sailboat and there's no wind, you're dead in the water. You're not going
You
anywhere,
don't go
right?
anywhere,
So
right?
what you're seeing is there's just not a lot of energy there to
No, no.
suggest that he would.
Well, no, there are things that, there are specific planets, planetary movements, houses, placements in the chart where you're like, okay, this guy gets pushed into the public eye and it's something that has staying power. And I just kept checking, going down the list, and I couldn't find anything. To your point about him sliding around, slithering around,
Slurrying, yeah,
he's
slithering, yeah.
got, he was born with his natal Mars and Scorpio right at the foundation of his chart, next to his south node. So I'm like, yeah, he's been a snake for a lot of lifetimes. We're talking
Wow.
low Scorpio energy, not the mid Scorpio energy or the high
Or the
Scorpio
high Scorpio
energy.
energy.
Yeah, it's just really snake in the grass, pulling strings behind the scenes, counter plots, manipulations, money changing hands. I did see some eighth house stuff going on with Vance where things were going to come out about financial deals that he's made that were under the table that are illegal. I mean, it's just like he's not going to go anywhere, like you said, just a boat adrift on the sea. He's just not going to go anywhere.
I
So,
just think it's funny that they make these plans
yeah.
like we're in charge, you know. I mean, they are
Hmm.
used to being in charge, but I think No King's Day has shown us all that enough Americans really don't want this. Enough, more than enough, right? So
Hmm.
that's interesting. So, and you looked at his chart for like this year or next year.
I looked at his chart for this year and for 2028. I mean, he's nobody in 2028. He's
He's
nobody in
nobody in 2028.
2026. Yeah, he's just, I don't know where he is, but he's not in the public eye. He's not in any leadership position at all.
That's
Just
good news.
didn't see it. And that's very good news.
That's
It's very
great
good
news.
news. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's like he spiritually he's like he's got this helmet over his head. He's got a lot of that Leo energy like Trump does, where it's just he doesn't entertain other people's ideas or feelings, or he has no empathy, just none whatsoever. It's all about him, just like it's all about Trump. It's very transactional. He lives his life in a very transactional way. And we're not going to go from the imposter president to Vance. I mean, that's not the karma of the United States. Hey, it's not. It's not. We've got things going on in this in the United States chart. And one thing I want to point out, I'm not sure if I said this on your show before, but I was told many, many years ago by a very, very credible spiritual teacher, very, very psychic, highly evolved teacher. And he said he was fond of dropping little thought bombs on his students, and he dropped this little thought bomb on me. I had a lot of one-on-one time with him, which was so wonderful. And he said that the United States has an oversoul.
No, you haven't said that before. Okay,
Okay,
go on.
the United States has an oversoul.
I mean, of course we do. What?
Yes.
Oh my God, that is a thought bomb. Okay, so talk. What?
So the oversoul, and he was a Scorpio, so he wasn't great on explaining a lot about what he would drop on you. But I had to extrapolate from that since the 90s, and I thought, okay, little pieces that I learn about the United, little ideas that you have, the United States, and I think I have said this on your show, that the United States is the only country on the planet that was born from an idea. That's not born from tribal ties, cultural ties. It was born from an idea. So unique, so powerful. And if you couple that with the idea, and I believe it 100% that there is an oversoul, then we're not doing this alone. There's an arc to the United States. There's an arc to all of our lives. There's an arc to the state United States, the life of the United States. We're going to start having a Uranus return. Every time we've had a Uranus return, we have fought tyranny, and every time we've won. Every time. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, all of those were Uranus returns for the United States. And so the oversoul is, you know, we're in its hands. Again, as you've mentioned over and over again, one of the great cosmic laws in this universe is we cannot interfere in free will. We cannot. And so the oversoul can't interfere in free will, but it can do nudges. There are presidents on the other side that are helping us. The Roosevelts, the Kennedys, Lincoln, they're all helping us. And we have the karmic, the lesson of the Chiron, the indigenous people. We're having a Chiron return. So all of this fits into this puzzle of what we're going through. And when we have the perspective, when we have the idea of there's an arc and this is where we are in the arc, it's like, okay, we know what our job is. What we did last weekend was a big part of our job. We had planetary energies that said, look, we have to man up, we have to woman up, we have to get out there. And man, did we see it. People in nursing homes. I
Yes.
mean, unreal. People in red states, people across the sea. This was
Mm.
huge. And the planetary energies were supporting that. So it's like we have to see that for what it is, take heart and know that, this fight is ongoing, but there's a reward at the end. It's not the end of democracy. It's not the end of the United States as we know it. I just don't believe it.
I don't either.
And the excitement and the joy that you can feel if you look at it that way is so much better than the despair and the anger and the hopelessness and the fatigue that most of us
Yes.
are experiencing when we watch the news.
Wow. I love that. That was so inspiring and so true. And I love that you said we've never lost when we fought tyranny. We've never lost.
We've never lost.
And this Uranus, which, blows things up, it's sudden,
Yeah.
lightning strikes, whatever. here we are, right? But hopefully we learned things. We learned about these wars, the ideas behind them, and why are we fighting for this? So I
Mhm.
think this is part of the thing. Why are we putting up with this? We really,
Mhm.
it's really true. We are learning that we took for granted, and this is not a judgment because it was
Right.
working. We took for granted due process. We took for granted that you could walk down the street and not be disappeared. And now all these things are
Women took for
here.
granted that they could get a safe abortion anywhere.
Yes, so many
They'll
things,
never
right?
overturn Roe versus Wade. Oh,
Right,
yes, they
right, yeah,
did.
yeah, they did. So, and now we get to look at it and go, wait a minute, we do want that. We're actually recreating the new next version of, it's like USA 2.0 or
Right.
8.0 or whatever version we're on at this point. I think this is encouraging. And I think it's also encouraging that they said the State of the Union, because there's a State of the Union every single year. So
Mhm.
he's not going to be there in January or whenever they do the State of the Union.
Right.
And this is, I 100% see that. 100% see that he is going to be gone by hook or by crook, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe the universe is like, we don't care how he goes. Do
I
you know what
kind
I
of
mean?
don't
Like
care.
he's just not going to be in power. He's
Mhm.
not going to be in a place of power. So I think that's all so inspiring and so encouraging. And it's so interesting to learn about Vance, that he's sort of like he's an empty vessel.
Yeah.
There's no power on the inside, but he's kind of a puppet, and so his
Mhm.
power might come from his people that the puppeteers, so to speak.
Sure. They've manipulated him, they've tempted him. He sold his soul to the devil probably
Yeah,
lifetimes ago, but yeah, they just put another signature on the contract for when they got him to be vice president, but I'm not worried about him. I'm just not.
nice. So
Yeah.
then something else you looked at was Newsome. You looked at
Mhm.
Newsome's chart, California governor. So what did you find for him?
Well, I found that his chart was being galvanized by the energies that were happening in the federal government with Trump. Interestingly, he's got Mars at the bottom of his chart as well, but it's in Sagittarius. So we've got Mars and Scorpio in Vance's chart at the foundation of this life. And Newsome has Mars and Sag, which is all about, of course, there are levels of all these energies. There are low levels, medium levels, high levels, but Newsome, Mars, and Sag can be a little full of themselves, but they're also more intelligent. They're more interested in knowledge and being able to explain things to people in a way so that they can understand it. And it's a much more expansive, open, light kind of energy than dark Mars and Scorpio, and working behind the scenes to make sure that, like, I don't know, like the Medici's, it just, I don't know why, maybe he was a Medici, they're, that Italian family in the Renaissance where they were in charge of everything. And if you weren't, a friend of the Medici's, you got pushed out of a window or something. So, that's Vance's energy, and Newsome's energy is more like, no. And he had things activating his chart, the transiting Mars and Leo, pumping beautiful Leo leadership energy into his Sagittarian Mars at the bottom of his chart. No, I said no, I mean no, and this, come for me, come on, come for me, see what happens. So he was the poster child for the protests before the protests really got
Right,
going
that's
for
true.
this weekend. But I did not see that kind of steam running through 2028. So I
So
know
you don't see
people,
him being a real contender in 28.
I know that that's what he's holding dear to
That's
his
what he
heart,
thinks.
but I don't know that I did not see that. A
Yeah.
lot of things can happen between now and then, but I looked at his chart for 2028 or 2027 to see if there was any kind of building towards something, and I really didn't see that.
So building towards anything, I mean, it's not like the chart says president, it just says notoriety and, like, so you don't even see him
You're in the
kind of
public
building
eye.
into a public notoriety type
Not
position.
really. Not really. I don't know, I mean, he could even become I guess, a US senator, but that doesn't mean that, there's a lot of senators that we don't even know the names of them because they're just not real
There's
active.
a difference between being a senator, a cohort group of a group, than being
Mhm.
governor or being
Right.
president, which is the pinnacle, the
Yeah,
top.
it's a very singular honor. You're right. You're right.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know he has said he doesn't want to run for president, but I'm telling you right now, they all say that. Like
Yeah.
that is the party line. You have to say you're not running,
Right.
because that's just the way we do things.
I'm like,
I
no,
think
he
if he
won.
said he was running, he would be a target. They would just start
He would totally
targeting
be a
him,
target.
and
Yeah.
then he would have to spend all his time now fighting them. So it wouldn't be in
Mhm.
his best interest anyway. But
Mhm.
you're not seeing a lot of that kind of energy
I
around him
don't,
being
but I
successful.
could be wrong, but I didn't see that.
He doesn't have the help. Let's say that, like, he could slug it out, right? Like, and
Mhm.
make it work, but he doesn't have the benefit of his astrology helping him, which is
No,
why
or
it's
the
important to
karma.
know about your
Exactly.
astrology.
Because, what the chart says is it tells you what your karma is. And I don't know. I had a client last week, and maybe she stole this phrase from somewhere else, but I thought it was a great phrase. And she said, your astrology chart is your instruction manual.
I agree with that. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, I love that. So,
And the transits are the updates, and the
right.
transits are the recalls,
Yeah. And the timing of things,
and the timing. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, your Uranus going into Gemini this July, even though it won't stay there for very long, we're going to see it. I think that might be when we start seeing things breaking open, because Uranus will crack things open. If you've got, I mentioned on my video, if you're in my generation and you've got a natal Uranus in early degrees of Cancer, Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries is pushing a lot of stress on that. Uranus and Neptune is secrets, and you will find out things about people that you did not know, or you will find out things about situations that you did not see before. So I think with Uranus getting close to the United States Uranus as it moves into Gemini, it's going to open up secrets. It's going to open up
Oh my
secrets. And that happens
gosh.
I think, right after the 4th of July. I don't know what timing you've been getting.
Perfect. Yes, around the 4th of July.
Oh, really?
Around the 4th of July.
Wow.
Like, I get a little
Wow.
panicky feeling about the 4th of July. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's going to be fireworks, but maybe not the kind that, we're used to seeing in
In
the
the
sky.
sky, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different kind of fireworks. And I feel like, for whatever reason, those things that we find out, like, we found out things before and it's just not stuck. Like, people
Right.
haven't, whatever.
They
But I
just
feel
let it,
like this is different. I feel like people are like, now they can't stop thinking about it. Like, they
right,
saw it and they can't stop thinking. But what about? But what? It's almost like it keeps growing and growing. Like, I'm
right.
telling you, I don't know that it's going to be. I don't know that it's going to be talked about in a way that I think that it becomes a real solution or something, but the investigation of the VOTE is
Hmm.
gaining steam, gaining
Hmm.
steam, gaining steam. And
Right.
I don't see it not gaining steam. I'm just not sure that it's going to come to a head, that it's actually going to break open. I hope
Hmm.
it does.
Hmm.
But that's kind of what you're talking about, is these secrets coming out. But I see
Yeah.
them sticking like fly paper. Like, we
Yeah.
can't.
People are too angry, and people are, I think for the most part, there are a lot of them that are the low information voters, but I think for the most part, people have been glued to their TV sets, and there's going to be a reaction if that stuff comes out that will not be swept under the rug.
To 3 months, that I think this whole thing could go south. Like, that's when 45, the imposter president, gets the boot. He could choose to leave the planet.
Right,
There's lots of ways
right,
that this can go down, and he could not choose to leave the planet and still leave the planet, if you know what I'm saying.
right,
And it could look like he chose to leave the planet,
right.
conveniently, right?
Hmm.
Because that would silence him. Because if they do impeach him or I think he's proven to all of us, including his detractors on the other side,
Mhm.
that you can't underestimate him. He has a way of 29,000 lives. I don't know how he does it, right? So I think this would be a way to really move him permanently out of the way so that Vance
Mhm.
could take that seat, could take that spot. But I agree with you. I've always seen that he wasn't going to stay there long. But
Mhm.
after he made this, what I saw, he made this deal with these shadowy people.
Mhm.
I felt like, man, maybe they'll pull it off. Maybe they'll find a way to keep him installed. But I will say this, if they do that, I still see the VOT-ING machines being protected more. I think you're already seeing how many runoffs, how many,
Yeah.
we're winning them.
Right.
So
Right.
I
And
think
I
it,
did see, okay.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was just remembering that I wrote down in my notes that for the fall of 2026 and 2028, the United States chart has Jupiter aspects that are very favorable, and Jupiter rules legalities. So it's like, okay, this is supporting the other positive aspects that the United States has for 2026 and 2028, where it's like they may try to do some legal shenanigans, but they won't be able to pull it off.
That's what I'm saying. If he does stay in,
Hmm.
Congress is going to wall him off because we cannot continue to have this happen. Like today, I think they arrested some big the comptroller, a
Yeah.
comptroller in a court for simply walking out with one of the defendants who was released by
Hmm.
the court, who was there as an immigrant, and they arrested him. We cannot continue to operate like this. This is not democracy. It will not stand. We cannot do it.
Hmm.
It's we have too many moving parts for them to
Right.
break all of them.
Right.
So I just feel like that, and what you're saying about Jupiter, that if Vance gets in and he does stay in, we're going to shore up Congress. We're going to take over Congress. We're going to shore up the courts.
Right.
We're going to literally wall him off so that he's just not
Right.
able to do much.
Right.
But to get there, it's going to be a little bit choppy waters, a little bit of a roller coaster, because we're going to see things, because you just talked about
Hmm.
secrets.
Hmm.
We all want the secrets to be exposed, but then when they're exposed, we're like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be prepared to be surprised in a bad way so that then we can continue to see those things and to say we don't want this.
Right. And as I've said once or twice before, we have supporting aspects for the United States chart to roll up our sleeves and to get a lot of things done. It's not a very big window, I'm afraid. That's the thing that I'm a little concerned about. But there are beautiful aspects between Pluto and Uranus, and the Neptune and Saturn and Aries, and the Pluto and the Uranus. So we've got these beautiful flows of energies that if we just put a little bit of effort in, it turns out very productive, very positive, and we're talking about changing things from the ground on up, in all these different sectors. So it's a lot of work that has to be done in a short amount of time, but at least to get started, we have these aspects that will be rolling in for a few months as we move into 2026 and 2028.
I think we're going to do it because they won't stop pushing us. If they would play their hand better and hide this stuff and do the shell game and pretend, but
Doing everything
no,
out in the
but no,
open.
no. Today he came out and said, no, we're going to send ice back into grocery stores and into restaurants.
Yeah.
They're literally pushing us towards breaking.
Hmm.
And that's going to give us the fuel and the catalyst to push back and say, no, we don't want this, which is, I think, is going to help us use that supportive energy that you're talking
Yeah.
about. That so
Yeah.
when we push a little bit, we get extra help.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Exactly. Exactly.
It's like 20 people show up at the protest, then 1,000 people show up, and then 10,000. We have to start, and then we get the momentum.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. And it's, you know, and it's a wonderful thing to see in a personal chart. You know, if you see those aspects, you say, all right, I see an area of difficulty here, but then the universe is giving us a safety net. The universe is giving the United States a safety net.
Nice.
That's what I see.
Nice.
Yeah. I see the troubles, I see the pain, I see the struggle, but it's like, hey, but then we got this stuff coming up. We get the right people in charge, we can get a lot of good stuff done. A lot of good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about? So what is going on with the midterms? Is there in general, did you pretty much talk about that energy?
Um, I think what I mainly saw was that legalities were going to be favorable for us, and that we had those supportive energies with Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn to rebuild. So I think that would mean that the midterms go our way, because I can't think that those wonderful, helpful aspects would be to lock us down even further in the darkness. I just can't believe that. So I think there's definitely a change in the wind for the midterms. A very positive change in the wind.
The thing that I can tell you energetically is that when the way the American people feel right now is restriction and constriction,
Mm-hmm.
they go berserk. Like they're trigger happy. They're you cannot confine them or constrict them or push them around. They're
Mm-hmm.
just they don't have any more patience to deal with this. So
Mm-hmm.
if they did try to lock us down more, there would be more mayhem.
Exactly. And as you have said on your videos, I've talked about it, you know, the shortages that are going to come up this summer. I see little videos on YouTube about, you know, a rancher talking about this ranch has been in my family for 150 years. We're going to have to close because we got nobody taking care of the cattle. Well, what did you think was going to happen? You know, and all the empty fields of crops that haven't been picked, you know, wheat fields, corn fields, just that's everything. That's fresh food, that's meat, that's poultry, that's bread, that's and then prices are going to go up. Yeah, people are at the end of their ropes. They're at the end of their ropes.
And they're seeing their neighbors get
Mhm.
abducted from the sidewalk or get
Yeah,
abducted from their yard or
from
at
school,
work or at
children.
school or now
Yeah.
at church. They decided churches are no longer
Yeah.
safe. So this is becoming very local, very like right in your life maybe, but
Hmm.
it's not definitely in your community. And it's bringing it home, going back to the secrets, right? Like this
Hmm.
kind of thing might have happened, but it wasn't so in our face. This to me, it's like a
Right.
secret that we now know.
Mhm.
Also, the secrets of these masks, these people that wear masks, we're not even
Mhm.
sure who they are, if they really
Mhm.
are law enforcement. Their cars are unmarked. They're all
Right.
those secrets. Who are they? Who's funding them? Where are these people going?
Mhm.
Do they have the
Yeah.
rights? All these secrets are going to start cracking open. And I
Hmm.
think a guy like Vance with his placement, you know, with not that Biden had Scorpio in the same placement, but Scorpio is a sign that does things behind in the dark. You know,
Right.
Scorpions, they do things, you know, they're not out there telling you their business, right?
Right.
And as you said, there's high level, medium level, low level. But you talk about a Scorpio placement at the bottom of his chart with a guy that's not involved, who doesn't want to be involved, who's a sociopath, perhaps. This is not somebody who's going to be a charismatic leader. This is not somebody who's going to be able to get people to get behind him. People don't like him. They don't like him. We don't like him.
Hmm.
Nobody likes him. So I just don't
Right.
think he doesn't
Right.
have the winning energy.
Right. Right. Yeah. Neptune moving out of Pisces into Aries. We had Pope Francis pass away just as Neptune was moving out of Pisces into Aries. Pope Francis was a very compassionate, progressive pope, which is a Pisces kind of energy.
Yeah.
And we got Pope Leo with the Neptune in Aries. It's like, yeah, just what, oh, let's have a mass in Comiskey Park in Chicago with how many millions of Catholics are there in the United
Yes.
States?
Yes.
Just, he's very outspoken and he's outspoken in all the right ways. He's for the underdog. And you just see that movement of that energy from Pisces, which is kind of compassionate and open arms. What was it? Vance saw the Pope Francis right before he passed.
Oh, yeah.
People are saying, yeah, don't come and visit this Pope. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, visit this Pope, because I think Vance probably intimidated or tried to intimidate Francis and say, we're gonna start taxing the Catholic Church. If you keep writing letters like you're writing, we're gonna start taxing you. And I can see Pope Leo going, yeah, try it. Just try
Yeah.
it. It's like there are these places of support that were unlooked for that are coming to us.
We didn't even know we needed it,
Even though
right?
we even needed it. Yeah.
But yeah, surprise, surprise, we have a pope that's willing to fight. It's willing to really stand up to the bully.
An American Pope,
Surprising,
yeah.
American Catholic
From the
pope
south
that,
side of Chicago. I'm from
right.
the
I
south
mean,
side of Chicago. You don't mess with those people. You do
yeah.
not mess with those people.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for him. I love that for us. And I love that for the Catholic Church, right? Which is
Mhm.
also a change, right? They could have gone with a much more
Right.
conservative, supportive
Yeah.
Pope, and they didn't. They went with a
They're
scrappy guy
moving forward.
from
Yeah.
the United States, which is also a very, talk about all these departures that they
Hmm.
made in this guy. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's another bright spot. It's another hope that we
Yeah.
have.
So it's like, the universe is watching out for us. We're not doing this alone. We really aren't doing this alone.
Yeah. Like you said it, nudging us, inspiring us, helping us
Hmm.
where they can't make us do things, but they can certainly help us when we do things. This is what we just talked about.
Hmm.
Taking one step and then getting extra help because you took that step, right? That's
Exactly.
definitely how they can help.
Exactly. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to watch that. So, what I tell my clients, and I hear you saying on your shows, it's like you step back from the TV, step back and try to see it from a different perspective. We're not going down. We're not going down. We're not going down. We have a future, and it's a beautiful future.
Oh, I love that, Karen. Thank you so much for coming on my channel. If you guys aren't familiar with her, you've got a pretty good idea of who she is. She does have a YouTube channel. Again, I'll put all this information in the description below. She does offer astrology readings. She does have some openings, which is unusual. Actually, she's usually fully booked forever and 3 days. But she has some openings. So if you're thinking about why is this happening in my life, like that's a good time to go get an astrology reading, because sometimes I talk to people and I'm like, this is what's happening to you is astrology. You need to go, because
Uh,
you just see like a lot of things happening. You're like, wait a
mhm.
minute, all this is going on. To me, that's astrology. It's like she said, this is the instruction manual of your life. Right. So
Mhm.
check out her website, check out her YouTube channel. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you want to know more about me, you can find that down in the description as well. And we hope to see you again soon, and hope that you're taking really good care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, guys. For entertainment purposes only.